And we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here again today with you, talking about more agentic commerce things. And today, the topic really covers how we can bring our products in Crystallize using the Crystallize MCP server. For that topic, I think I brought one of the people who really joined Crystallize recently and started using Crystallize and all the AI tools around it quite a lot from day one. And I think this is the best person really to cover all this in more details. So I have with me here Rui Ramos, who just joined Crystallize.
Hello, thank you so much for coming here. My first live stream. I'm super excited to join the group of famous Crystallize influencers and now be part of that same group. So thank you for inviting me, Vasil. I'm super excited to talk about this. As you say, it's something I used a lot the last month and a half.
Great. Yeah, I'm really happy to have you here as well. Cool. Without any further ado, let's jump into the topic. So if you look at it from a perspective from a person who is coming from a different platform into Crystallize, and then what usually happens is like these people, they come with a spreadsheet or Excel file with all of their products, like a bunch of rows, which each row is a product, and then they have like a lot of data, different data with different columns. And then actually how we can really help these people to start with Crystallize, right? Because this is something that we've seen quite often. And that's why we built some AI tools around it, and the Crystallize MCP server that is just a set of tools that help the LLM or the underlying language model to kind of perform actions and to do different things with the help of the MCP server. So Rui, can you share a little bit of your experience? So if I come to you and I say, I want to start with Crystallize, I have this spreadsheet, what would be the best way or the easiest way for me to really start with Crystallize?
Yes, I would love to talk about that, Vasil. And, it really is, as you said there, this is how I've learned the system. This is how I have used the system, and I have tweaked my own different systems. So my role here at Crystallize is both to do these live streams, to explain to all of you guys how things work, but also to meet the prospects, meet everybody in the beginning of the project, to see how to get started and how to leverage the tool the best of its ability. As you said, this moment in time, often in projects, it's people who are system owners of different systems that might come with a data dump to you, as you said. If you're lucky, it is a spreadsheet with rows and columns. If you are, not that lucky, you might just get a text file or a JSON or whatever is there. But the cool thing about the AI tools is that it reads that structure very well, and together with this MCP that has all of the different skill sets that you need to crystallize the right way, I think we get very far with quite little effort from us as users. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. And to do this, we are gonna set up a completely new tenant in our system. So I have logged in here as a user of mine, and I have already a tenant, but let's create a new tenant from scratch, where we will take this tenant and create a new tenant from scratch. I will give it a name. So you can see that I have completely new. It didn't exist before. It automatically makes me into this, jump into tenant, so I don't have to change anything. The only thing I will do here, and it's also the only thing you guys have to do once you get started, you create a tenant, you create a free tenant, you go into the access tokens, and you start creating new tokens for you. So let me just delete that one. I try demo, and we create a new token from scratch, and we says access MCP, and you give it access to the tenant that you want. I have two now, as you saw the one I had before, and the new one. This might be your dev, your prod, or you might be somebody who works with multiple different tenants and customers. Strongly recommended to give it access only to the tenant that you are intended to work with, and not the full scope. Yeah. So when I click here, I think this is a very neat way to help you, the user, to be as efficient as possible. Here we see a lot of different codes, different secrets, all of these things. Yeah, one caveat, we will destroy this tenant afterwards, that none of these tokens were valid, try to hack us. But the reason I'm showing you all of this is because we're getting this little string here in the bottom. That is the command that we need to use in order to install the MCP on our computer.
So this is one liner that we have with the prefilled access token ID and secrets that we can just copy paste, and then we have the Crystallize MCP server installed. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So what I did here is just click this button. There are different ways you can install an MCP server, but using the terminal, it's a very easy way now to do, because you just have to copy this and open your terminal. You can, of course, do the same process inside your Claude, inside Visual Studio Code, or whatever AI tool or way of using LLMs that you're using today. But all I do is now copy and paste this in, and you will get this little installer. It says add MCP, so I don't think you can get lost. And it identifies the source, as we gave it to it, is our MCP Crystallize. It's our Crystallize server, and we have found an agent that we can install. I use Cloud Code, so therefore I will click on that one. And I can proceed with this installation. And what it does is, just like that, we have now created this this one here. And with this, I can now start and say MCP, and we will be able to see here that it's connected to Crystallize directly in here in the tool where we were. So that is super neat installation, very easy to install in here. So now comes to the use case, and here I will show you a little bit what I will do, and then give it over to Vasil again to explain how things work in the background a little bit. But we said in this scenario that we got this data dump from a colleague. We were lucky; it has column headers. And we have some information, as you say, each row is a SKU or product. It has some reference to some images. It has descriptions. It has related things. So it connects items with each other. It has brand, colors, material. So while it might look like a quite straightforward Excel sheet, there are logics in here that makes sense to make a data model. So what we will do here is then ask Claude, can you please read in my data dump I have here, and I can then, I think, just drag this. This is the same one, and drag it in here to get a link in here, and do the following: read it in, analyze it. To create a data model in Crystallize using best practices. 3, populate our catalog with the products in the sheet. I want to do this via mass operations. So me writing all of this, as you see here, is a little bit where my experience comes in. Where I've learned a little bit. First of all, to give your LLM these 1, 2, 3 instructions is mostly for my sake. So I know what is going on, so I can follow the logic afterwards. So this is the mental model I have. Okay, this is the way I would have done this if I'd done this manually. So that I recommend you guys doing this, trying to make stuff in a logical order so you can follow it to the end. And then, of course, in the end, I say I want to do this via mass operations. This is most, I can tell you guys right now, this is the best way of getting data into the system. It's the most efficient way. And then we're using the APIs to get the data in, instead of using your tokens to get the data in. So what we're asking the AI here, and to use your different tokens, is to create these files that we can easily import. And we're asking it to do it in this order. So I will do this, and then it's going to take a little while.
Let it work.
I will let it work. I will put the auto mode on. I've done this a couple of times. And while I do that, Vasil, maybe you can take a look, and we will come back here.
Yeah, so maybe just to wrap a little bit on the mass operations part, right? So we are asking the AI to prepare this mass operation file, which really, the mass operation first, maybe to start with, is just an endpoint that we have in Crystallize, where you can upload a file with a set of instructions and tell the backend, kind of the API, what to do with it. And the good thing about the mass operations is that it's built to scale, right? So we can provide from 1 to 200 to thousands of items there, operations, right? Think of it as operations. And each operation could be anything from create shape, create piece, right? Add a component, update shape, create product, update variant, update price, stock location. They're all different actions that can be performed, and they're well documented, actually. And the AI knows how to use the mass operations, right? So what are the instructions to create the correct files? And then once they are created, the only thing that we need to do is just to really execute them. And then everything just happens behind the scene. Cool. How is that possible? Again, talking about the Crystallize MCP server and the skills, actually, this is something that I didn't really mention, and probably Rui mentioned it a little bit in the beginning, right? That we have a set of skills that tells the AI how to look at the data, how to build the content model, for example, right? What are good practices, what are bad, how to use different tools like GS API client, or how to set prices, and all kind of different skills. And we will look at them in a little bit. But like under the hood, the Crystallize MCP server is also using them. And you can see that, so the Crystallize MCP server is located at mcp.crystallize.com, as you can see over here. And here we have a few options that they weren't really quite straightforward when Rui installed the MCP server. First thing, you can actually enable the MCP server to perform mutations. And this is something that we generally encourage people to start first with only read, which means the MCP server can only query data. This is the safer way, right? So when you start exploring things, you prefer only read actions, right? And then when everything later is set up and you're confident that what you're doing, then you can move also to the mutations part, to running mutations. And to do that, it's just a little kind of a Boolean flag that you need to provide over here. And this is one example. Also, what you can do, you can disable, enable the skills. And this is mainly used if you already have the Crystallize skills installed on your machine. So you don't need to do that again with the MCP server. And then we have a UI panel here. That's some panel for displaying tenant and product information. Cool. So this is the MCP server. And as I said, the skills are something that really, it's kind of the foundation of how things work together. And if you're, let's say, a big fan of skills.sh and you're used to get your skills from there is no problem. You can go in skills.sh and do search for Crystallize API, for example. And then you get to see all the skills that we have developed until now, right? Because this is live thing. We're going to add more and improve further to make sure that the AOM really understands how things work in Crystallize. But if you take a look on one of them, let's say the content model over here, this is the command to install the skill with the explanation of how things look and what it does, with some best practices, good bad example and good example, right? So the AOM can figure out how things should be built. And the good part about it is that really this is in a human readable format. So even you as a developer, let's say you want to read and understand how things work in Crystallize, you can just go in this document and read it yourself, because this is really in a human readable format. And when it comes to extending it or figuring out that something is missing, it's very easy, right? Because you can see, you can read it, you understand it, and then you say, okay, this part is not here, let's add it or remove it. So these are the skills on skills.sh. You can install one of them or install all of them. It's totally up to you. Generally recommend to install all the skills, because sometimes you work on a content model, sometimes you want to query something, or you want to set a taxonomy, or set a price. Then you have the skills already installed. So this is the good part. And by the way, here we have something like very fresh, just came out today. This is plugins, right? So we are introducing plugins, and we're going to talk about more next week in our live stream about how we can set install plugins, create plugins, and all of that in Crystallize. This is really, really fresh out of the box now. So stay tuned, and it's going to be exciting.
Very nice. You got a little commercial in there, Vasil.
Yeah. And then maybe to wrap here things up, everything like which is Crystallize, everything in Crystallize which is AI related, we have in one repository, which is Crystallize API/AI. And what is good about it is that actually this is open source, so everybody can come and read in this page, and it's even MIT licensed, right? So you can even change it and do whatever you want. And this is the one place where we have all the AI related things. And let's say if you use Crystallize, for example, here we have skills, and these are exactly the skills that you saw on skills.sh, and these are exactly the same skills that the MCP server is using, right? So everything is here, everything is documented, human readable format that the AI can read and use. And if there is something that you're missing or think it could be improved, as I said, is open source, so you can just go there and contribute. That's the beauty of it. And then over here we have the MCP server itself. If you look at the source, one thing that was really interesting for me, for example, is to understand what are the tools and how they are defined in the MCP server. And I can over here go on under tools, for example, and then let's pick one, for example, fetch content model. So this is a tool, right? There is a method here which is defined tool wrapper, and this is a little bit more technical, maybe for the nerdy people and the developers. But what is an MCP server? MCP tool is just kind of instructions, right? So here we have a instruction that tells the LLM like this tool can fetch a content model from Crystallize tenant. You describe what is this tool about. And then we have input schema, which is ZOT validated. As you can see, in this case, it accepts the tenant. And then over here under the handler, this is what the LM will feed the MCP server with the information that we have as an input schema. And then the tool will perform some action and we will return the result back to the language model, and then the language model will take it from there. So this is really just what is an MCP tool in this example. And as you can see, we have built a bunch of tools. You can go and check each of them. I think they are very, very interesting. So, and you can get to understand how things actually work behind the scene, right? It's not like rocket science. So I think it's quite straightforward. So
I find it is very cool, Vasil.
Yeah,
all of these are like, in the end, I'm not a developer. I'm not technical in the same way you are, but just reading the name of skills and these kind of things, like I'm really learning a lot. And as a newcomer into Crystallize, like speaking to these AIs, really reading the answers I get back is how I have gotten really onboarded into the depths of Crystallize and become very efficient on my own, or together with my AI maybe.
Great. Should we get back to you and look at what
the AI is done, and I'm waiting for that at the moment. Yes. So now we're back here in my terminal, and so you don't have to read all of this, but what it did, it spit it out. The way it did all of this is that it actually created a little script for us we can run to run our different mass operations. So in the end, what it created here, if you can see it, number 1, 2, and 3, it created this 3 mass operations that runs after each other to first create the model, then add a taxonomy, and in the end, populate the catalog. Following that logic I gave it, it makes a lot of sense to me. So it's there. It made some decisions that are baked in here, how it connected things, and so on and so forth. In the end, it asked me to run this command, and I do that. While you were there, I just went to my other terminal and I ran this command when it was done. So you can, I don't see exactly the time for it. Somewhere here you can see the time, but the key thing here is it's successful, and that
these are the mass operation logs that are telling us what actions were performed. This is right.
Exactly. So if we go back in here and go into our system, as you saw, I'm still in the same place. I can actually go here to find a mass operation log to see what has happened here in the system. And we can see that it's managed to get all of this in. based on that little script that I run with the mass operations that was given to me by the AI. So let's see what it actually did. It came in here, it created all of these things. We saw it before, it was empty. It created a data model where we have an instrument, because in our use case, we had different guitars and things. We have a different data model, all of this. We have a category shape. We have it extracted that we needed a brand connected. It has a specific description. And it even create a piece for the SEO that can be used in here.
Wow.
Because it's reusable. All of this without doing anything, or anything. We did something. It created my catalog. It seems like, and my different products. It has instruments. I have electric guitar, acoustic guitar, bass guitars, and here I can then look at one of these guitars that are in here. So it actually took the information from that spreadsheet, got it in here, all the different description, the text. Created an item link to connect a brand item to a product item here on
item relations even. That's amazing. It managed to build the relations, and use them.
And I think what I'm very impressed by is the taxonomy part here, where it actually populates a full taxonomy tree together with all of this. So it's actually navigational, and we can use it afterwards as well. And it got, of course, the images from that things directly in here. So this is how we now populated all of this into here. What is really cool after this is that you from the same window here can start asking your questions. Why did you do like this or that? And you can have a conversation, talk to your system, and ask all of these things. And it will even suggest more things that you can do with it. So if there's something I want to say is to, try it out, feel the magic, and give your use cases for it. And with that said, I think showed off how we can get a lot of different information into the system here.
That's actually amazing, Roy, because really, like back in the days, this would have taken so much time to figure out what goes where and to build the right content model. But also, this is quite complicated, like building the content model. And as Didrik says in our company, right? Probably Claude with the Crystallize skills is the third or the second best person to build content models, because Didrik himself, he and Bort, of course, both really helped to write the skills and kind of teach the system what's really are the best practices of doing these content models. You saw even the item relations and the reusable piece and everything was there. So without you telling anything, Claude managed to figure out actually how to do this and build the right content model. I think this is lifesaver. It's kind of saves so much time. It makes things quick, so you can actually focus on what's important, really, like here the story around it and all the rest, and let the Claude do this kind of mechanical works where you need to figure out where things are connected and how they come into play together. I think this was amazing. Do you have anything else, Rui, that you'd like to add? I think that's going to be enough.
The skill set of the MCP does not limit you to the model and your catalog and the topics. In my case, you can work. Now we didn't do it. Different flows. You can talk about different orders, how to set up order flows, fulfillment pipelines, subscription contracts. Pretty much anything that you have in here is supported. So I have created all from different market setups, different price variants, languages. Even custom views using the AI entry point. And it becomes very, very powerful when you combine it together, as we did here, with running these commands through the CLI and through your command, so you don't use all the tokens. So I recommend you not to limit yourself only to this idea. Try go outside the box and see what you can create, because it goes quite further. And do not underestimate its knowledge and experience. So ask it whatever question you might have about why a data model looks like it looks, why we did it in a certain way, or why we didn't do it in a different way. So I think that's what I want to leave everybody with. Encouragement to try it out.
Great. Yeah, that was awesome. Cool. Thank you, Rui. Thanks for the demo and everything. I think it was really interesting to see.
Yes.
I think that was all from us. So if you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the plugins next week. Bye.
Thanks so much, everybody. Ciao, ciao.